So, Confessions on an Island. How did it take form? I knew it.
Okay.
For the audience.
For the audience, how did Confessions on an Island take form? I wanted to write a novel for a long time, and I already had a contract signed by Videomania, my publishers, in the month of December last year. And then somehow the novels did not really work out in the way I wanted them. So in the month of November, and November is also the month of Namo, okay, in which you try to write a novel in a month. So that's what November is about. All over the world, a lot of authors try and take the challenge of trying to write a novel in a month, and I've never been a part of that. So in the middle of November, after seeing a lot of updates from my author friends that they're doing really well and trying to write that novel, I thought enough is enough and let me try something myself. So I gave myself a deadline of 30 days. And I wanted to write the novel within 30 days, and of course I was inspired by a lot of things that have happened to me, or people who are close to me. But the first draft of the novel, about 50,000 words, they were written in the month of November, which also happened to be the time when work was very stressful, and my cousin brother and cousin sister were getting married, and the family was full of relatives, and there was a marriage at my in-laws as well. So there were lots of marriages, thankfully no funerals. And there was lots of introspection and late nights and trying to stick to deadlines to come up with this, because I really wanted to do so. And I realized that we're going to be busy all the time, we're going to find excuses all the time, but this is the time, it's now or never. So it's that kind of deadline that made me come up with the book. And of course the book is all about that. It's about now or never. It's about an author who is forced to write stories within a particular span of time if she wants to live. So I think there's a little bit of me in that, and that's how the book came out, and that's what Confessions of an Island is.
So if I remember, you came down to Bangalore to write a few parts about it.
Yes, absolutely correct. I actually took a little sabbatical from work and I came down to Bangalore. That's why Bangalore is where I'm launching it. And I wrote parts of the actual story that I was writing. But then something happened to me. When I was in Bangalore, some very life-changing situations happened to me, which formed the basis of Confessions on an Island. What they were, how they were, of course, I have taken the liberty of naming characters on Friends. Some of them are present here, and who are thinking, okay, what is it that they have said about me? To them, I tell you, just read the book and decide for yourself if you are that character or not. It's just my imagination, but of course, it's based on reality, and one very important chapter of the book is set in Bangalore, and it is completely based on things that happened to me when I was in Bangalore. What is it? Why was it life-changing? You need to read the book to find out.
I know it.
Don't reveal it. So that's what happens when someone who has read the book asks you about the book.
You mentioned the novelist in the book as a storyteller. Okay.
Yes.
So hence this question.
Okay.
What would you rather call yourself? An author, a writer, or a storyteller?
Wow, that's a wonderful question. Though I believe storytelling is about the oral part of telling, but I think at the end of the day I would like to think of myself as a storyteller who writes first to tell the story later. I can tell the story through this interview, for example, or I can tell it through a book, or I can try to show you what the story was through a film or a TV show. But to tell you a story, I need to write that story first. So I would say I want to be a storyteller, which is why I start off as a writer. And in the process of writing has to make sense, okay? When you're just writing about something, you don't become an author. When you write and it is in sequence and it comes together cohesively, that's when you become an author, a novelist or a short story writer. So start off as a writer, that's me, and then become an author, so that finally you get to tell the story the way you wanted to tell it, and to the people you really want to tell. So that's what it is.
That's a brilliant answer.
Thank you.
So this book has a lot of connected stories,
Okay.
and some pertaining to the situation kind of stories.
Correct.
And a lot of characters, all of the characters have rich colors. How do you, the artist, go about painting?
Well, I think life throws us the greatest palette. There are so many different kinds of people who we meet and we interact with, which is, I think, my inspiration. I have done a little bit of painting. I'm sure some of you at some points of times have always dabbled in colors, and it was always very exciting to kind of mix colors and see what it is. So I still remember there were certain colors which were mixed, it created a new color. I think that's characters, that's what they do. Sometimes their actions overlap with each other and create something else. So I think that's what it is. I was inspired by life, wherein there is no white or black. I think there are different shades of grey. Different hues of grey. I can't say shades of grey and 50 at the in the same sentence, because that will have a very different meaning. But I would say different colours in terms of the kind of people that we meet, and that's what inspired me to write this book.
You mentioned in one part of the book that it is too bold for India. And the controversial part.
The controversial parts, yes, sometimes.
Why so?
Because of the censor board chief, who really thinks that we get very cheap when we see films that we're really adult enough to see. I think when it comes to a book, censorship makes it very, very difficult. Unless, of course, you have a book which is very inflammatory in nature and is trying to incite people to ransack or religious organizing and stuff like that. But that again is very individualistic, of an individualistic choice. I think personally in India, a lot of people believe in a lot of things behind closed doors, and they're not open to talking about them in public, which is why I think some portions of the book seem very bold, but I'm sure everyone will enjoy it. They'll probably not talk about it in front of others because it's real. You cannot escape reality. So everything that happens in this book, almost everything that happens in this book is inspired by real events, people, places, and it can happen to any of us. Maybe all of it happens to two people, and it might happen to different people in your life, but such things have happened, such things can happen, and such things will happen if you do not realize and understand what makes it happen, and if you're not willing to learn from it. Because frankly, my friends, history always finds a way of repeating itself, and we never seem to learn from history. And I don't understand why that should still be a mystery.
So do you think that people, as authors, must go about talking about taboo situations in society?
I think it's a very personal choice as an author what you want to talk about. I may not do that for another book of mine. Depends also on my audience. Like I've been very, very clear that this book is for adults. Why is it for adults? Of course, maybe people above the age of 16 might still get it, because I think people are growing up very, very quickly nowadays. But you really need to understand a lot of concepts in the book, and for that you need to be officially 18. Unofficially 16 is fine. Sweet 16 is even better. But yes, I think as an author it's a prerogative. You want to talk about real issues, you want to talk about fantastical issues, doesn't matter. But if you want to be an author whose voice really reaches people and it remains in their head and not just enters from one ear and leaves out the other, you have to base it on real emotions, people, places or events. That makes it stronger, gives it a stronger anchor, and that's what holds it in place. So that's what I think.
So I came about the part in the book that is a taboo in the society. So hence this question. Right.
Yes.
What do you think about scrapping of Section 377 in India?
I think it must be scrapped off. I'm being very vocal about it. I think you cannot choose to be gay and you cannot become ungay at one particular point of time. Of course, I'm not asking for legalization of gay marriage right now, because we have enough problems already in marriage. Maybe marriage itself should become illegal. I have no idea how people treat marriage. I of course believe in marriage, but I know for a lot of people it is not. And if you look at the Supreme Court right now, even two people staying together in a living relation, it will constitute as marriage. But Section 377 I think should be repealed. We are a very progressive country. We have shown it at numerous points of time, and it's there across temples, it's there everywhere. I know some religions do not believe that such things can happen, and I'm completely fine with it. But Section 377 as a rule in the Supreme Court, I am sorry guys, but I think we can do better.
Excellent. So let me ask a pretty common question.
Pretty common? Is it going to be pretty or is it going to be common?
A common question.
Okay.
So do you have a regime in writing? Like you write for an hour a day or a word count per day, something like that?
Okay, it's like asking how often do you go to the gym? No, actually no, I don't have. While I'm really in the middle of writing, I write more regularly, and when I'm I probably write less regularly, so that's what happens. But I try to write either late nights or early mornings or over the weekends. So if you say my regime, it'll just be to ensure I don't have any other unfinished business and I'm taking care of my office work. That is what pays the bills. Of course, I have to take care of it. and then I go into a closed space, like my own room, play some music, and then start writing. So my regime of writing would involve finishing what I started, be it a chapter or be it some research I'm doing for something, and only when I finish it, I move on to the next level. So that's my regime.
So I find some of the interpretations of mythological characters in the book.
Okay.
Right. I'm not revealing anything.
Now you know that it's there. Of course, of course.
I'm not revealing anything.
Right.
So I'm just asking a general question.
Right.
If you want to be a mythological character, what would you do?
What would I be? I think I identify most with Karna as a mythological character. Yes, I really do, from the Mahabharata. So Karna, in a lot of ways, formed his own destiny. Maybe he made a few mistakes, maybe he sided with people, but he was always there for his friends. And I think I really like the Danvi-ness of Karna. And of course, I love the fact that, till the last moment, he was one of the greatest. And, and even in death, he's still remembered. So what if he made mistakes? Life was also not easy on him.
About him in serials and movies.
Correct. So I would say yes, but if I could be a mythological character, so that's who I identify with. If I could be a mythological character, I think I'm very fascinated with horses. I would love to be a Pegasus, a horse with wings, and just fly wherever I want, and I'm still doing it very strongly. So these are the two things I identify with and I would like to be. Yeah.
So for now, this is the 7th question.
7th question. 7 is always the most important.
Yeah. So as you can see, I've stressed the number.
Correct.
That's what the question is about.
Right.
Why is the number 7 so magical to you?
The number 7 is not just magical to me, I think it's magical all over the world. Apart from Earth, we have 7 planets. We thought there were 8 planets, but one of them is not a planet. There are 7 days in a week. There are 7 steps to heaven. There are 7 sins. There are 7 virtues. I was born on the 25th, which adds up to 7. My name, Ayanpal, has 7 characters. Numerologically, it adds up to the number 7. I was born on the 7th day of the 7th month, as per the Bengali calendar, and a lot of things never worked in my life till I met a person who was also born on the 7th day of the 7th month. Not my wife, my publisher. So 7 has always been very, very, very important for me, and I really, really identify with 7. As a number, it's very intuitive. And I think as an author, you have to really have a lot of intuition, and you have to have very strong ideas about what you think will work and what you think might not work, because without intuition, you will never be able to write the story and decide how to tell the story. So 7 is very, very important. Confessions of an Island is a title that also adds up to the number 7. So, and I'm trying to do the launch in 7 cities at least, maybe more, let's see.